Not long ago, I caught myself thinking about a phrase I've heard all my life. If only. If only I had a little more time, or a little more money, or a little more energy, or a little more certainty. You know, it's remarkable how these two words can quietly convince us that, well, happiness is waiting just beyond whatever we don't have yet. And yet, when I look over the happiest chapters of my own life, they rarely begin with if only. You know, more often they begin with something much quieter, like, this is nice, or I'm glad we're here, or I don't want this evening to end. You know, I wonder if happiness has been misunderstood. We often imagine it as a destination, a place we'll finally arrive after enough goals are accomplished, or enough boxes are checked. But life has a curious way of moving that finish line. When we're young, we think happiness begins after graduation, or maybe after we get married, then after children, and later after retirement. But you know, the horizon keeps politely stepping backward. Meanwhile, life keeps unfolding right here where our feet already are. One evening, not too long ago, I was sitting outside my backyard, and the day was winding down. There wasn't anything particularly noteworthy or special about the evening. We hadn't had a celebration. We weren't on vacation. No spectacular sunset was demanding my attention. There was just a gentle breeze, the familiar sounds of the neighborhood settling in, a conversation that didn't need to solve anything. I remember thinking to myself, and not dramatically, just quietly, if this moment never became anything more than it is right now, it would still be enough. Now that thought has stayed with me, not because I've mastered it, but because I keep needing to remember it. We live in a culture that celebrates more of everything, more success, more recognition, more possessions, more productivity. And there's nothing wrong with ambition, or dreaming, or building something meaningful. Some of the most worthwhile things in my life have required years of work and perseverance. But I've also learned that gratitude doesn't have to wait until the dream is finished. It can quietly take a seat right here beside me today. Now, children seem to understand this almost effortlessly. If you give a child a cardboard box, before long, it's a castle, or a spaceship, or a pirate ship, or a race car. Kids aren't measuring the value of the moment by things that they have. They're measuring it by their experiences in that moment. And somewhere along the way, adults become very good at counting what is missing. Children, meanwhile, remain wonderfully gifted at discovering what is already here. I've thought a lot about that, and I think I need a lot more of it. Because enough isn't about lowering our expectations. It's about raising our awareness. It's noticing that the laughter in the house is already a kind of wealth, that good friends and family form a sort of abundance, that a quiet evening can be as restorative as an expensive getaway, or that the hand you're holding matters more than the watch you're wearing. When I think about people that I love to be around the most, few of them, in fact, none of them, are remarkable because of what they own. They're memorable because of how they live. You see, they're generous with their attention. They're quick to laugh. They're interested in people. They're able to find delight in simple things. And when you leave their company, you don't find yourself wishing that you had more. You find yourself appreciating what you already have. And that is a beautiful gift to give to someone else. And maybe it's one we can all learn to offer. The truth is, there will always be another goal, another project, another mountain to climb. And honestly, I hope we keep climbing them. But I also hope that we remember to stop every now and then, look around, and take a deep breath. And that is something that I had to learn when I was a kid hiking. We lived in the shadows of the Shenandoah Mountains in northern Virginia. And we would, as a family on occasion, go to the mountains and go on a hike. I was the youngest, and so I was also the slowest. And I remember that sometimes it seemed like the most important thing for me to do to keep up was just to put my head down, concentrate on how fast I could possibly walk, and hope that I kept up with my parents and my brother and my sister. It wasn't until I got to a certain point in my life where I realized how much I had missed by having my head down and just plodding along as fast as I could. Because when I finally lifted up my head on some of those walks later in my life, I saw all the beauty that was there. I saw the sunshine coming through the leaves of the trees. I saw the occasional squirrel or bird. I saw the beautiful flowers and just the overwhelming peace that was there. And I realized just how much I had missed. So as we stop every now and then, and we take that look around and we take a good deep breath, hopefully we will then quietly be able to say, "This is good." Because sometimes that simple sentence is where happiness really begins. So as you move into this coming week, I hope you'll have at least one moment where you forget to hurry. I hope you'll actually purposely and intentionally take that moment to forget to hurry. Who knows, maybe it'll happen over breakfast, or maybe during a walk, or while sitting in your yard and watching the evening light settle in around you. And when it does, when that moment comes, don't rush past it. Stay there for another minute. Let yourself completely enjoy it. And you may just discover that happiness wasn't waiting for the next achievement after all. It actually was already sitting right there beside you, waiting to be noticed. Well, thank you for spending these few quiet minutes with me. This has been The Quiet Between, and I'm Mark Ammons. Until next time, may your days be rich with the simple pleasures, the grateful hearts, and the quiet confidence that, more often than we realize, is knowing that enough is already here.